Okay, we're going to get started on the small 4-inch basket. And to do that, we're going to pull out of our kit our 1/2 inch piece along with our 7/4 inch flat pieces and the longest piece of number 2 round reed. You'll have about 250 inches of this. You'll just pick out one of the ones that's the longest. We're going to use this. You're going to end up soaking these in really warm water for about 5 minutes or so, just to make sure they're nice and soft and the round reed is pliable. You're going to take that longest piece of round reed and you're going to go all the way to the end, and not exactly in half, but you're going to fold it in half, but with an extra tail on one side. So go ahead and take that all the way and give that a fold. Give it a pinch. And this is what we're going to be using to twine the bottom of our basket. Now, it's really important to be able to identify the right and wrong sides of reed. So you'll want to take a minute and fold the reed over your fingers. And if you have the side that has little hairs that pop up, that is the wrong side, like fabric, the wrong side of the reed. This is the right side, nice and smooth. You're always going to want the right side of the reed to be on the outside of the basket. So today we're going to start with the wrong side of the reed on the facing up, because it'll be on the inside of your basket. Now this piece is about 30 inches. So we're going to go ahead and mark the halfway point, and you can use this with a ruler, or if you're working on a mat, you can go ahead and just take a little pencil mark. And you're going to mark the halfway point, which will be 15 inches. Okay, and that's where we're going to start working. Additionally, I do like to work on a mat because it does make it easier to make sure that my diameters are correct and my lengths are correct. You're going to do the same thing here with testing the right and wrong side of the reed on these little 1/4 inch pieces. And you can see this is, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but it's little fuzzies popping out. That means that is the wrong side of the reed, and we're going to go ahead and make that point upward. Sometimes I direct my students to go ahead and just make a W or a small mark with a pencil on the end showing the wrong side of the reed. Just do that first and then go ahead and that way you'll always know that the correct one is facing upwards. And you're also going to want to find the visual center of those. These are 11 inches, so it's going to be 5.5. So you're going to mark 5.5. That's going to be your center point on the wrong side of the reed. And that's where we're going to start. And we're going to go ahead and make a cross first, like so. And then we're going to come back. And again, with the wrong sides of the reed facing up, we're going to make an X. So it's a cross first, or a plus sign, with an X sign on top. And I just do a quick double check to make sure I've got the right and wrong sides of the reeds facing out. There we go. All right. This is what we're going to start with. Okay, now I do like to take a moment and mark the upper corner of one of these pieces of reed on the very end so that I know where I start and end. Sometimes that starting point can get buried in our weaving, and by marking that piece, you'll be able to find it in the future. So you'll know when to stop in a full circle. We're going to start here with this half piece of reed, the reed that you've pushed in half and you've made a small loop. And we're going to loop it around that first piece of reed that now looks like an asterisk. And just taking a look on our grid here, or by eyeball, we're going to want to be about 1 inch off the center, okay? So 1 inch off the center. The goal is to have kind of a 2-inch hole in the center of your basket. Don't worry, it's not going to be a hole, but this is where all the reed's going to stack on itself, and so it will fill in but this is where we want to start. And we want to make as clean of a circle around this way. And we're going to do this by twining. So we have our half piece in place here and our loop on one end. You can see that this has the tails moving off, and we've got one that's on top and one that's on bottom. We're going to take the top one and we are going to go behind the next piece of reed and pull it forward. And now we have them stacked again on the next piece of reed, and you can see there's one on top, and we're going to take the top one and stack and pull it behind and pull it forward. And what we're doing is creating a half X in between the spaces. This is called twining, and this is a very a very common weave in both wickerwork and plating. You'll use this weave. So we're just going to go up and around and twine all the way around in a circle. Again, you can see stacked on top, 1, 2, take the one on top, behind the reed and pull forward. 1, 2, one on top, behind the reed, pull forward. And you'll do the same even with this thicker piece. 1, 2. That's actually going to become our handle, but right now it is the bottom piece of our basket. And so you'll want this to be as tight and circular as possible. As I take this over on my grid, that fits in my 2-inch squared grid piece. So that's a nice 2-inch round, 1 inch off the center, a 2-inch in circumference circle, okay, or in diameter circle. Okay. Now we're going to continue to go, and you're going to keep going onto the next row. Same thing, up and around. We're doing those half twists. It's called twining all the way around. Okay, and we're going to do this for about 4 to 5 laps, depending on what size of your number 2 that you're using. You might run out sooner or later, but the goal is to get a couple of reps, a couple of rows in before we add the additional spokes. So we're just going to go ahead and do this around here 4 times. Pulling nice and tight. You see my rows are really close together and touching each other. That's really important. Nice and tight. Keep that nice and clean. Okay, and we've gone around now 4 times. And I'm right back where I started. See, I marked the piece there. And you can see that I still have enough left to go around a little bit more. Probably 2 more times with what I still have left here on my tails. And that's good. That's what you want. If you have less than that, then what we're going to do is add new pieces of reed before we start adding the spokes. But I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Okay, now going round 4 times, we're going to go ahead and add the remainder of the spokes. We should have 4 more pieces of reed left. Again, checking for the wrong side. You can see that one, you can really tell is the wrong side. It popped. Right side goes down. And we're going to set that in the space in between what you have here and here, equidistant. So we're going to line it up and also try to keep it as centered as possible. Lengthwise as well, set it in the center, and we're just going to add it and weave it in. So same thing, here's your 2 tails. We're going to take the one on top and put it behind this new one. 2 tails, one on top goes behind the existing one. And now we've woven it in. We're going to do the same thing again. Lift both tails up. Put the right or wrong side of the, check for right or wrong side. Oh, there we go. That's the wrong side of the reed. We're going to go ahead and set that down. In the center, in the space between the next two spokes, we're going to lay those tails back down. Take the one on top, take it behind that new spoke. Next one, take the one behind the existing spoke. Okay. And we're going to do that for the next two spokes all the way around. Okay, we'll come back to our original spoke here that we've marked, and we're going to continue to go around. Now at this point, we are probably likely going to be needing to add reed, and when I get to that point, I'll show you how to do that. Okay, we have made some revolutions here and done a couple of rows, and now we're at the point where our tails are getting too short, and it's time to add additional round reed to your weaver. So I'm going to go ahead and take a clothespin here and just kind of move this one out of the way and clip it over here. And we're going to be working on this spot. This guy is way too short. You know, he could come down and under, but he'll be way too short to go in anywhere over here. So we're going to walk him back here. And the goal is to go, you always want to end your weaver on the, if I'm looking at a V, always on the left side of the V, the side that it's starting to come up and over. We're going to end it right here. And to do that, we're going to use our awl. And I like to use a pair of pliers. You can use your fingernails. You could use your, any of your other tools that help you push down your reed like this. Anything that you'd like to go ahead and mark or just push down or crimp that piece. I use that. I use my pliers. Okay, just to crimp the reed. When you do that, that helps it fold without cracking. And our goal is now to run this under this piece here on the left side of this V. And to do that, I'm going to use my awl to lift this piece of reed and make a space. And I'm going to use my reed shears to clip it. And I left about a 1/4 inch here. And I gave it a little of a point, and we're going to slide that in. See that? And it's going to ride along, right along the side of that spoke inside the V. Now I'm going to add the new piece. I'll come over here to my water and grab a new piece of reed out. Nice and wet and flexible. We're going to give it a point. Use our crimping device. Give it a crimp, our fingernails, and bend it. And then this is going to go, we ended this here, we're going to go back to the right side of the V, and this is going to go against the spoke there. So we need to do the same thing, we need to make some space. So I'm going to come here with my awl, lift those up, and run that reed down. Now I want it to go along the space, so I just use my awl to push it into place. What this does is now you've created a bit of a sandwich. So the old weaver is in the back, the new weaver is in the front, and now we can continue on like nothing ever happened. Two of them are on top, top one goes behind, and we just continue weaving like we never ran out. I'll do this again here for you. I'm coming up to having to add a new piece for this other one. Now you can see why we kind of offset that having of the round reed in the first place, so that we weren't ending in the same exact spot, which is never a good idea. Okay. We're going to come we're going to end this one here. So we're going to come one more time. There we go. And it's going to be on the left side of the V. We're going to move this one out of the way. Give it a little clip out of the way here. Okay, and this is the one we're going to be working on. I'm going to go ahead and crimp it on the left side of the V. There we go. Give it a little bit of a point. Lift up these ones we've already done, and then run this guy along that left side. There we go. Pushing it in. Sometimes that can be tight, so you might have to work it in, but use your tools. And we're going to add the new piece, which I've already pulled out of the water here, giving it a point, 1/4 inch down, crimp, bend, and then this one is going to go on the right side of that V that we were working in, and we're going to move those out of the way, lift them up, slide this in. That's really tight, which is always the sign of a good weave, but sometimes that could be tricky. There we go. And then I do like to just make sure that I've moved it as far into the space as possible. There we go. Okay. This is sitting on top of the old weaver. I'm going to let the other one down. Okay, both tails, top tail goes up and over the next reed, and we just keep on going. Now we're going to keep on going until we reach a diameter of 4 inches. So if I'm on my grid, I can see right now I'm at about 3.5, and so I really only need about 1/2 inch more in diameter, which we want to stop. If you don't have a grid that you're working on and you're using a ruler, you can do this technique where you come from the center. I'm using here, this is a spoke weight with a center measurement, and because this piece is going to be 4 inches, I come off the center here and I mark at 2 and 2 on either side with a pencil, and so now you know where to stop. So you could either use, like I said, a mat with a measuring with a grid on it so you can see where 4 inches is, or you can come in and mark your 4 inches 2 and 2 off the center, and that's where you'll stop. Okay, it looks like I've got about one more round to go. I'm at the start here, so I've got one more round, taking a quick measure, just shy of 4 inches. So we're going to go one more time around. There we are, 1 4-inch piece on the grid. We are gonna clip it over the top there and clip this one over the top. There you go. These are gonna sit inside. You don't have to worry about them. We could run them in if you wanted to, but honestly, because we're going to be pulling up the sides and putting in a bottom rim, those will get held in place. So we're just going to leave those go. Okay. All right. Next up, we are going to upturn the spokes of our basket, and this requires that your spokes are wet. So if your spokes are starting to dry out, please dip them or spray them so they're nice and wet. so they don't crack. And we're going to take and we're going to bend them in at the base and give them a nice little push to kind of crease them in place. This is called upturning, and we are upturning the spokes of our basket, including this big one. Okay, our sides are upturned. Okay, now we're going to start with the sides of our basket now that we've upturned, and we're going to use this 3 pieces of your number 3 reed. These pieces were approximately 16 inches, and we're going to be using some of your clips to hold it in place. You're going to pick up your basket so far, have the outside bottom facing away from, facing towards you, the inside facing away from you. Move away from the edges there that you just ended on, kind of come back a quarter turn. And we're going to do something called a 3-cord whale, and we're going to be making a cord from it, a single row. And we're going to be utilizing 3 strands of the number 3 to do this. So you're going to come back, and I want you to walk back 1, 2, 3, 4, come to the center point of the side, and we're going to put the first one in and give it a clip to hold it in place. Then we're going to lay the second one in along the spoke there, okay? And then we're going to put the third one in. So 1, 2, 3, okay? The next spoke is going to be from the very first one we did. So we're going to take that very first one we did. It's going to go across the 2 and behind the next one. Okay. We're going to turn the basket, push the sides up. The next one, you don't want it to slide out, so feel free to use a clip to hold it in place. Is the one that you put under the second. It's going to go over, it's under this one, it's going to go over these 2 and behind the third and come out. Okay, so now it just should be this, you're going to be going behind and coming out the next one, but it's going to go over 2, 1, 2, and behind the next one and come out. Okay, pushing that nice and tight. We're going behind 2, or over 2, 1, 2, and behind and out the next one. Okay, and we're creating this twisted cord along the edge of your bottom of your basket. 1, 2, behind and out. 1, 2, behind and out. Rotate. 1, 2, behind and out. 1, 2, behind and out. All the while, we're just pushing it nice and tight along the edge of that basket there. Okay, across 2, behind and out. Over 2, behind and out. Okay, nice and tight. Over these 2, behind and out. Next strand over these 2, behind and out. All the way till we get to the beginning point. And we're starting to get to that beginning point. So 1, 2, behind and out. And now I'm back to where I started, but I already have one coming out from behind this next one. This is where we're going to lock it into place. So we're going to take the next, the one furthest back, go across 2, behind, and it's going to go behind and underneath the one that you started and out. So they stack on top of each other. Okay. So if you're looking, they're stacking on top of each other. One on the inside and one on the outside of that spoke. And stacking. Nice and tight. Okay, and if you want to put a clip there to hold it, you absolutely can. The next one one, go over two, and it's going to come behind this third one, but this time it's going to go underneath the one that's already started there. Okay, and we're going to sandwich it. Okay, it's created a sandwich there. Do you see that? Sitting right on top of each other, kissing each other, right like that. Okay, and then we're going to take this last one, and it's going to go under the last one that we started here. Here we go. Cross the two, behind this one, lift it up, slide it under. There we go. And now it's also stacked on top of each other. You can see there. Okay, these two are stacked, and these two are stacked. And now we've locked them in place. Everything's nice and tight. All the way around, we're just take a minute and make sure that those are all pressed nice and tight. Okay, and then we're going to clip these three pieces that are left over, these three tails, on the spoke so that they don't fall through. So we're just gonna come through and go 1, 2, and 3 on the spoke. Okay, so something to hold on to. There we go. And then that is a nice finishing rim or cord on your base of your basket and starting up the sides. The stripes to the side now, and we're going to add them in order: red, white, red, white, red, and then 3 blues. Taking our soaked red, make sure we use the right side. Over, under, over, under, over. So we're going to start here. Over, under, and then we're going to get to where we started. We're going to overlap by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of creating that Weaver sandwich so it locks it in place. Do the same with the next one, which is white. But I'm going to turn so we don't start all of the joints in the same place. And we're going to now do a white stripe. And I am letting this relax just a little bit so it's not completely straight up and down. There's just a little bit of a wedge effect going on. Over, under, over, under. Shut it down. Get to the beginning. Same thing. And go over, under, over, under. And here's a good example of why we do 4. You can see this is going to be just a hair short. A little tug. And it's going to fit right underneath. Just like that. There we go. We're going to do that for another, again, 3 reds total with 2 whites in between, and then we're going to move and do 3 blues right off. We've got the 3 red stripes and 2 white stripes in place, and now we're going to go ahead and add the blue. Take the blue out of our water. It's only been soaking for a few minutes. We don't need to let the colors soak too long because they will bleed and fade. So we'll just dry it off here for a minute. Make sure we're not working with a puddle. There we go. making sure that we're using the right side of the readout. I'm always testing to make sure we've got the right side out. And then we're going to go ahead and flip the basket again to the other side so we're not stacking the joints. And we're going to just go opposite. So start here, just give it a flip. And then we're just going opposite the red. Just check your spokes to make sure they are as straight as possible. To the beginning and overlap. 1, 2, 3, 4. Basket. Do the next row. There we go. And then we're going to do that for 3 rows like we've done here. And then we're going to top it with this 3/8 inch piece, which is going to be the rim row. Okay, now that we have that rim row on and you've got all of your colors in place, we're going to go ahead and close the side of the basket. To do that, we're going to trim every one of the spokes that's sitting behind that rim row flush. And I'm going to use some trimmers here and just trim those nice and flush all the way around. You'll see it's skipping every one that's in the front. Okay, and then we are going to push the spokes in and measure inside. We want them to fall right under the first 2 spokes. We're going to hide them underneath there. So I've gone ahead and got my size and shape in place. And I'm going to use this extra piece of reed here, and I'm going to make a template so that I can very quickly go around and cut them to size. Now look at that one. That one is a little short, so this guy, when I go ahead and put him underneath, we're only going to go under the 1, and so I'm going to cut it so that it hides under the 1. There we go. And then we're going to continue around with our template. There we go, all the way around until all of those are the right shape and size. Go. Then once we have that, we're going to go ahead and tuck them using our awl. And take our awl and we're going to go ahead and just gently lift the first 2 color weavers there, and we are going to run the spoke down underneath so that it is hiding and closing the side of the basket. And you're going to do that all the way around until the basket side is closed. Now that your rim row is on, we're going to go ahead and work on the handle next. I'd like to take whichever side is the shortest, that, and give it a little bit of a 45-degree angle. And then that is going to go down the inside along the opposite side of the basket. So I use my awl again to make space. We're going to slide it down into the basket. That is going to give us the basis of our handle. Go ahead and dry fit this by coming across the other side, measuring where that's going to hide under that last red row. And we're going to go ahead and place our glue along this handle get our fabulous glue. You can use any glue, but my favorite is this Aleene's Tacky Glue. Not a sponsor, just my favorite. And I'm going to go ahead and give that a glue. I'm going to use one of my pieces that I have here, scrap pieces, and really just kind of spread that glue all the way onto every surface of that handle. And we're going to go ahead and run that down. Now the front. And sometimes you can just slide it, other times you need the awl. So if you do need the awl, just take it gently and run it. Sometimes we have two, but we've got to run it under. There we go. And our goal is to get it under this last red one. And we'll come back up here to the other side, and I'm going to make sure I push all of the slack out of the handle. And push that all the way in. And now that's hiding. If you find that you have air pockets in your handle, this would be a good time to go ahead and use some of your clamps. You can use some good quality clothespins to do this, or you can use these little mini clamps. These are great too. And you're just going to use them along the side here every ½ inch or so, just to close the glue in place. Whatever you have is fine. I'm using the clothespins, so you're just going to again do them every ½ inch. Clothespins are nice because they go all the way across the top. But the goal is to go ahead and get that pretty much sandwiched in place so that glue dries. You're going to let that sit for about 20 minutes until the glue is dry, and again, you can come back and put the rim and finish the basket up. Okay, now that it's been about 20 to 30 minutes, you can go ahead and remove your clamps, and your handle will be dry. And we can move on to the next part. And now we're going to go ahead and add on that rim. Now we're ready to go ahead and get started with the rim. And we're going to do that by dry fitting it in place first. You have your two pieces of rim that came in your kit. One is just slightly smaller than the other. They could be the same size. We want to put one on the inside and one on the outside. And you want the smooth side to be facing the inside of the basket and the rough side to be facing the wall of the basket. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and slide it in to dry fit it first. And we want to center the overlap around the center of the front of the basket. So it looks like that. We're going to use our clips. And we're going to now clip the outside piece of the rim, smooth side facing out, and we're going to go ahead and lay that same direction. So if it's going in this direction, we're going to do the same direction on the other side as well. So you want it to be mirror imaged, and we're going to clip it in place. 1, 2, 3. Now you want the buckle to be in the same place, mirror image, so that as you lash, you push out all of the extra slack in the rim, and that comes out the front of the buckle, and that allows your rim to be nice and tight. So go ahead all the way around, and we will cross over those first 3 pieces. Then you're going to go ahead and take your seagrass, and we're going to cut it in 2 pieces by running it dry fit along here into the rim. So we just want to bring that all the way up to the edge of the basket. Put it under the clip. And then also on this side in the channel to the edge of the basket. We're going to go ahead and give it a trim right smack against the edge of the basket there. Like that. So you can see it in there. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to go ahead and slip it in there, put it underneath in the channel, clip back in place, and then trim it right smack against the edge of the basket. So it can sit in the channel and under the clip. And now we're going to be ready to lash. Okay, now that we're ready to lash, we're going to go ahead and take our lashing, which is this flat oval. The flat oval has a little bit of a rounded side and a flat side. And we want to put this on the lashing so the round side is facing out as it wraps around the edge of your rim. So to do that, we need to get this starting piece up under the rim assembly on top of the side of the basket wall. And so we need to hide it under here. So we're going to go ahead and run it up the back off the side of the buckle so that we can go around this way and push out all the slack. And so I'm just going to run it up the inside underneath the back piece of the rim under the seagrass and down the front side. Sometimes you need a little bit of help with your awl to make room so it doesn't get stuck, and this one's getting a little stuck, so just 1 second. There we go, and out the front. Now that is hooked on the side of your basket wall under your seagrass and under the rim assembly. And now you can start to lash your basket rim into place. So just make sure that's all nice and tight. Bring this around. It's going to come around where we started and cross over a spoke. So we're going to take it and cross over the spoke from this side to this side, and it's going to go in the space between the blue and that white under rim row. Make sure you keep it nice and straight, and make sure your end has a nice 45-degree angle on it so it fits. And we're going to tuck it in there, pull it tight. If it's twisted, untwist it. You want it nice and straight, and then pull it tight. And that's one. And we're going to go ahead and do that again. Just bring it up and around to the next spoke. And you're just going to continue to go around, and don't worry about any of these little hairs. We'll come back and trim those, but go all the way around, and when you get to the other side, I'll show you how to trim that off. Okay, we are about to finish up here. Now as you come around the other side, you've lashed all the way around. We're going to go ahead and finish here. Come across your buckle. At this point, all of the slack has been pushed out of your buckle, and we're just going to go ahead and finish our lashing here. Everything's getting a little tight, and it's supposed to be. You do want it tight. Come around the final piece here. Okay, we need to go across this last spoke so that all the spokes are covered. And accounted for. Get some of those strings out of the way there. All right, that leaves us where we've gone all the way around. We've got our lashing finished, and we just have to cast off. We have to cast off just like we cast it on. We have to go onto the side of the basket wall under the rim assembly. And so this can be a little tricky, but really what you're trying to do is use your awl to move the seagrass out of the way and make a space under the back rim. Okay, you're going to put this up underneath the rim assembly. I'll set it down here so it's a little easier. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it tight, and then we're going to go ahead and take it down the front underneath the rim assembly. And now it is under there and you cannot see it, and it doesn't come out. Then we're going to just trim those tails. Make sure you don't accidentally cut your other lashing. There you go, and then you can go ahead and clean it up by using your little tweezers to get rid of any of the little hairs that are hanging off of here. And that is your little patriotic red, white, and blue basket.